Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
We're live. We're back, baby. We're back.
Back.
That wasn't too bad for you.
Alive, and we are right on time. Look at that.
Well-oiled machine. Look at that. thought you'd be out of touch there, Thomas. I thought you'd be messing around, fumbling around like a 15-year-old boy or something.
I haven't been drinking too much in the last 4 months, so I'm still there, still lucid. And this is an amazing thing, guys. I never have thought it would come back. When I canceled it, I thought, oh, hold on, this is not good for our health, doing it every week. Because in the end, we were not doing it every week. We were training because we had to win the competition. So the other 6 days of the week, we were in training. So I thought we better stop.
Yeah.
But too many people now have been requesting I'll come back. So we're making a comeback.
Morons.
Sure are. We sure are. No.
Anyway, I think that the most exciting people in here is Chris and you, Lou.
Yeah. Why so?
Because when I told you guys we were going to stop it, I could see the two of you were a bit disappointed.
Oh, I was. I really was. Like, somebody asked me today. Oh, I told somebody I've got to do wine and wisdom. Oh, you're back. And I said, yeah, we sure are. Oh, thank God. And I said, we probably won't come on as often. We might drop it back to once a month. But, when you get into a routine, I mean, I train every day anyway, or at least try to do something. But I was really in a routine, like the subject that we went into or chose for the month, for the week, sorry, I'd really apply myself and try and get as much knowledge about that as I could. And I really got into a groove and I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, our livers suffered tremendously, but it was good. So I'm glad to be back.
That's good. Ken,
Like
you're a bit quiet.
Hey,
You're a bit quiet today. You're a bit sick, aren't you?
a little bit sick, mate. That's right. Just like any normal marriage, we're doing it once a week, and now we're doing it once a month, and then.
Oh, wait.
You pass once a month, by each other once a year in the hallway and say, you.
Oh dear. Anyway,
It's good to be back. It's fun, guys. I missed it. I certainly didn't when we did stop. I had a lot of people say, "Oh, what's happened to Wine and Wisdom?" So look, things are getting busy. We need to focus on our businesses.
yeah.
But taking a couple of hours of once a month will be easy to do.
Yes.
I think that's good. There's a few smart asses out there giving us shit about doing Wine and Wisdom. A few of them coming out of the woodwork a bit later on and give us a bit of cheek about it. But so why do you listen? If you don't like it, just turn the bloody thing off. Don't listen.
Yeah,
But the rest of them, I think the majority of people were like, it's something that we were looking forward to, But
yeah, we worked out who a few of our closet listeners were, though, didn't we? People.
Yeah. It was, a lot more listen than the comment. That's for sure. A lot of people listen to it afterwards.
Yes.
And listen to catch up on in the car and stuff. And
yeah.
Even the missus was having a whinge moan that she didn't have anything to listen to. So I might have to start talking to her again. So okay.
All right.
He's on fire today. I think he's on fire.
Quite early.
Mate, I got 4 months of this stuff saved up. I'm ready to go.
Yes. Well.
All right, let's start with the wine.
Let's go.
Well, ladies first.
I win, so I'll go last.
You win. That's right. All righty. So this one here, I'll hold it close so you can see. Diarra's Original, Grenache Shiraz 2019, McLaren Vale. So funny enough, it actually won the gold medal in London, but it's one of the wines that they actually still foot tread as part of the fermentation and processing. They do that about a third of the way through the fermentation process. But yeah, it's been around since 1969, and they renamed it in 1993 to the Diarra's Original, which was after the third generation family winemaker in his honor for his contributions to winemaking. So I thought that was pretty cool, but looks like a good bottle, sounds like a good bottle, and I'm sure it might be. So who's next?
The aroma is going to be funny. You might actually get a bit of scent of shoes or so.
Aftertaste of tinea.
What about you, Ken?
Me now. I thought we'd go to the garage first. All
Oh,
right.
All right. You want me to go, Cam? I'll go.
Yeah,
I'm happy to
I do want you to
take the
go.
garage hit there.
By the way,
Good, mate.
there's only one of us sitting in the garage right now.
Yeah.
All good. So I've got a 2018. It's called John's Blend. It's from Langhorne Creek.
Nice.
It's a Cab Sav. Langhorne Creek, they've been making wines down there for 160 years, but they started making these two blends. It was a Shiraz and a Cab Sav. They make at this winery 49 years ago. So next year will be the anniversary of the wine. It's won a few medals, but I haven't rated it on Vivino, so I don't know how it goes. I just found a wine that I hadn't had before and bought the bloody thing. So it was hard to find a wine that I hadn't had before, I'll tell you that.
You don't mind drinking?
But that's all right. Hey, they said it was our first opening, so we don't.
No, that's bullshit. It's a competition.
Must be good. It had a cork too, so it must be
You
good.
said in WhatsApp we were competing, so that it's our first week, doesn't count for nothing. All right. I have a 2017 Chateau Macaur. The actual wine's the Châteauneuf de Pape, I think they say it.
It's the region, yeah.
It's from the Rhone region in France. Been growing wine there since 1624. So
Wow.
What year is it? What year is it?
2017. It's a Grenache. Basically, it's a Grenache. Been growing wine there since 1624. Before that, it was a barracks for the Roman legions. So the actual winery's got 400 years of winemaking plus the rest of it. So it was quite interesting to read about it. Picked it on the label in the year, actually. Went to a different.
Wow, Jesus! I wish I was with you, mate. That I would have loved to have a glass of that.
Yeah.
So next time you're up, I found another secret bottle shop TL. So we'll
Wow, that is cool. That's the Châteauneuf de Pape is the region. It's the Pape means it's the Pope, and Châteauneuf de Pape is the region where the Pope used to go in summer in the south of France.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And so that region became very famous just for that kind of wine. It's probably a very solid, like ground, earthy kind of wine, really heavy.
Very, very tannic by the sound of it, which isn't usually my go, but we'll see.
All right, me, I've been the boring guy this week. The only thing original is a 2015. Otherwise, it's nothing else special. I thought.
What is it? What year is it?
2015.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
So that's the only thing original. So
when he said any budget, I didn't know we could go down.
Oh.
They paid him to take it.
I'd be very surprised and pretty surprised to see that this one would be yours.
You've been hanging around the Central Coast too often, mate. You're starting
Cheers, guys. Welcome back.
Salute.
Happy to see you guys again.
Hello.
Wow.
Very nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I think we're all on winners this week.
All right, let's go.
Well,
We're going to do a little bit of news, or we're going to go straight into it.
I don't know what's good in the news.
I think it's Star Wars Day, right? May the 4th, Star Wars Day, right?
Right.
An interesting fact that today, Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia, got her star on the Walk of Fame.
Walk of Fame, yep.
Today, her star went in place on the Walk of Fame after all these years on the May the 4th. I thought small bit of a coincidence there.
I didn't know.
But in drastic news, apparently BoozBud, the alcohol delivery service, has gone bankrupt.
There's more tears shed for that than Carrie Fisher.
Jeez. What are we going to do? We've got to get drive there now.
I didn't know we were doing entertainment news, but they released the new Guardians of the Galaxy today too, which is a direct insult to Star Wars fans everywhere, I think. So, the latest and last installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. And in other news, my wife's going to watch it without me with the kids on Saturday, which is absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
If he's listening.
Yeah. I have to say, I don't know if I'm the only person on here, but I've never watched a Star Wars in my entire
We
life.
can't be friends any longer. I'm sorry,
Not
Lou.
surprised.
You're not surprised? I
No.
it's just, I don't know. Am I the only person on the planet? Has anyone else?
I've
Has
still
anyone-
got the original Darth Vader and the original Luke Skywalker in my walk-in wardrobe. They're open. They're not in the packets. They'd be worth a fortune if they were packing their packets.
I hang
But
out
the
with
picture
Yoda
of the
most
figures.
days now. So
What was
Oh,
that, mate?
I said I hang out with Yoda most days now. So I've got my
Never,
Yoda
never.
or Gollum? You can pick which one.
Yeah.
I don't think the news has changed since we stopped 4 months ago. There's still a war in the Ukraine. The world still going to shit. And
interest rates are still going up.
Still trying to screw.
Apparently there was
So,
an
pretty much the news.
assassination attempt on Putin through a drone, and he was blaming the Ukraine for it. The Ukraine denied it. Oh, mate, just what do you believe, right?
Yeah, didn't hear anything about it, but I think you're right, Cam. I think that the news is still what was happening last time we spoke on here, so not much has changed.
Oh, well, then let's get on to our subject.
Our subject that we put forth was 10 interest rate rises. We can now say officially we've had 11 interest rate rises.
Yep.
So what should agents, sellers and buyers do? What now?
Another interesting fact, did you know the first rate rise was exactly 12 months ago today?
I would believe that, yeah.
The 4th of May last year when we had our first increase in rate rises. That's what I looked
Aren't
up.
you just made it for fourth specialist, mate? Huh?
So, yeah,
Good on you.
I'm a specialist
Good on
only
you.
in today. I'm glad we got to
Tough
do the
tomorrow.
podcast.
What are you going to do
I'm
tomorrow?
off tomorrow. I won't be able to get out of bed, mate.
Yeah. But anyway, look, it's 11 official interest rate rises in 12 months.
So what are we at 3.85%? Yes.
3.85, absolutely. And I have to say, I was a bit shocked, to be honest, that they did raise them on Tuesday. I kind of, I was optimistic and hopeful that they wouldn't, probably like every mortgage holder in Australia, but they did. And I really didn't think they were going to, because inflation's obviously started to come back. But I don't know, I heard a economist, I think for Deloitte last night, doing a little bit of commentary on the whole thing, and he called it the recession roulette, and I thought that's what the RBA is playing. And I thought, you know what, he's probably not too far from the thought process of a lot of people right now, because I don't know, I still don't think what all those 11 rises in 12 months, we haven't even gone through what they're talking about as the mortgage cliff yet, where all these people are coming off a fixed rate. Anyway, it's done. We can't whinge about it. We just got to move on.
Maybe this is the real impact of COVID.
Yeah. Well, that's it. What happened? Everybody, COVID came in December 19 and everyone went, oh my God, the real estate market's going to fall off a cliff. Well, yeah, it was 4 years later, but maybe it's not going to either. But, now they're talking about the mortgage cliff. So we'll see.
COVID hangover.
The COVID hangover. Yeah.
Well, we've gone through the health side, the mental side, and I think that now we're going through the financial side.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think that they'll stop. Australia is nothing else but a copycat country, and we follow and we do whatever the US tell us. But a few weeks ago, when the US went up again, there was obviously a sentiment it was going to go up here. But when I heard about how much Philip Rowe has been having a backlash for making bad decisions and telling people that the interest rate was not going to rise until 2024. And now they have a brand new panel to make a decision. I thought maybe they stopped this month, but they didn't get it. It was already it was in place. And unfortunately, as of today, the interest rates in America has gone up by 0.25% again. And they are, I think, at already 5%, which means we're going up. Watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is why I think that it's important here now, because we know we are going to be copycatting the Americans. We're going to go up, and if need be, it's going to happen straight away. Because if we don't keep up with them, our dollar is going to devalue. It means our product's going to be more expensive. It means that inflation will keep on going. So
Yeah.
the problem, it's not happening here now. They're doing nothing to inflation anyway. It's still going up. Why? Let's have a look at all this. So what are the things that let's have a look. What are the impact really about this 11th rate rise? You can predict.
Before we go to impacts, I just want to how stupid are we? And by we, I mean people. Right? The same. I've been hearing for 3 weeks that they weren't going to raise interest rates, and we've had people coming out and saying they're going to drop interest rates at the end of the year, and we've had people saying house prices are going to go up at the end of the year, and we've had everyone coming out of the woodwork in the last month and smash houses. We've gone back to 30 groups at open homes and all this sort of thing because we've listened to the same people who said the market was going to crash during COVID, and the same people who said they weren't going to raise interest rates till 2024 are the same people who were saying that interest rates are on hold, and people were dumb enough to listen to them. So I know it's fool me once, shame on you, me, fool me twice, shame on you, but what's fool me 15 times? What's fool me 15 times?
Yeah.
No, but we are a country of gamblers, Matt. It's been said before, we're the only country that will just stop a whole nation for a race, a horse, right? So we are a country of gamblers, and what we've been doing with these 11 rates is gambling. I mean, I sometimes sit down and have a look at, listen to sellers who are selling their house, who are trying to build a journey to the next dream of their life, and they making decisions that they regret within a few weeks because now the rate's gone up. It's impacting them too.
Is it their fault, or is it what we're
gambling?
Is it their fault, or is it what we're being told? I googled, tried to do some research, so I googled interest rates in Australia, and the top 3 videos. Here's the titles. 3 days ago, Channel 9, RBA not expected to raise interest rates as property prices rebound. 2 days ago, ABC, RBA hikes interest rates. 1 day ago, Channel 9 again, the 3 main reasons why the RBA lifted interest rates. They were the same people 3 days ago telling people.
The problem with the news, mate, is they report on what they're hearing. They don't do any research behind it.
But that's
smarter. But the smarter people behind them are the ones.
You got May the 4th stats. I've got stats on this. Money magazine.
I know, but what I'm getting at, the people telling us the news aren't the smartest people to be listening to. The people that are making them just go on, what are you going to say?
42 economists. You there?
Yeah.
42 economists were polled by Money magazine. 23 said they were going to put them up. 19 said they weren't going to do anything. There's almost 50%. They're flipping coins like they do for the weather. That's the economist, Chris. The economist.
But then again, what I'm getting at it, it's easy for them to pull those stats out of their ass, and just go, yeah, let's say we did this and let's say we did that. The smart people behind the scenes are the ones pulling the strings, the ones saying we need to speed the economy up or we need to slow it down. I think we're listening to the wrong people. Everyone I'm speaking to, all the brokers who have gone to events, the financial planners that look at futures markets and so forth, they're all telling me, we've got to get to about 4.5% to have a healthy economy. It brings balance back into the economy. Now, how that works, mate, I don't know. I sell houses, so I don't know how that works.
Santa, the economists are on either side of the fence. What hope do we have? And I've got another bone to pick with you lot, because it's been 4 months since I've seen your smiling faces, and I'm pretty sure 4 months ago and 5 months ago and 6 months ago, definitely 2 people sitting below me on the screen at the moment shouted me down, vilified me, wanted to rip in when I dared suggest that money was important. Now look how important it is. Now look how important it is. Money isn't everything, my ass. 11 interest rate rises. I'll tell you what, money's everything. 27% mortgage stress, and that was before Tuesday. So 1.35 million is about to turn into 1.57 million people who are pretty sure money is everything. So for all the shit you gave me last year, I'd like to say, but I won't, because we've been told we're not allowed to swear. money's not everything. Look at us now. We're doing a whole podcast just based on it. So thank you very much. It's good to be back. I'm good to be right. My wine's the best. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay, Hadley.
So how do I switch him off?
Yeah.
Crystal's trying to be working that out for ages. She hasn't worked it out.
All she can do is turn me on. So that's
All right, so let's have a look. Let's have a look at the impact first. Obviously,
Well, look, I think one of the impact, and this is one of the things when I was looking at some statistics, apparently only 30% of Australians have mortgages, 30% rent, and the other 30 own outright. So putting these interest rates up, it's really only, I mean, obviously it affects the entire economy and people in general, but people that actually hold mortgages are probably feeling it the most. I think back to the first home buyers who bought a year ago, my daughter being one, you know, she's having conversations with me now. Do I move back in and just rent? You know, so these are the a few implications or the effects of it. But does anybody actually know any more than that, or am I completely wrong in those statistics? I mean, I got them from a bank's website, site on the internet. But is that, does anyone know any different to that? Because that's what I find mesmerizing. Like, putting the interest rates up has a direct impact on those that hold mortgages. If only 30% of people have them, surely there's other things or better things that we can be doing as a whole, not just continually to jack rates up.
no, but the rates.
the headlines. One of
Sorry?
the other headlines that we had that I didn't mention was rate increases will affect people's with mortgages, but the banks will be fine. That was actually a headline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where their priorities are. But it's not just people who hold mortgages, because with more interest rates going up, rents have absolutely skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, your daughter talking about coming home and renting or paying a bit of board's a bit different, but
Yep.
you know, where our areas at the moment, you can't get a dilapidated 3-bedroom home for under $600 a week. And the, you know, so
it's impacting on the people who have a mortgage.
Yes.
But then the one who haven't got a mortgage, or let's say they're renting, well, it's impacting on them too. It's really a trickle effect.
Absolutely.
So everyone will be a impact, because let's imagine the guy who can afford to have to hold on to his house and investment properties. Well, what does he have to do with his product? He's gonna have to jack the price up in order to make sure that he can survive. So it's going to impact every side of the economy. I don't think that the game of the interest rate is going to be the only thing, but let's keep on going on some of the impact. For the moment, who else could be impacted by what's happening for the moment?
Agents. Agents in general. There's a lot of agents out there, and I had a meeting yesterday with our realestate.com rep. I called him the rep off because they're increasing their prices again. But anyway, in our area, if a house is priced well, it's selling within 20 to 25 days. However, there's been a huge increase in property sitting on the market longer than 60 days, because a lot of agents out there don't know how to handle this sort of market and have honest conversations with their owners. So we're seeing...
Is that affecting the agent or the homeowner?
Well, both. It's both, because those agents that were really, you know, just order takers in the last 7 years now really have to sharpen their skill to understand how to have a really open, honest conversation with an owner and say, you know what, I overpromised and I'm under delivering, but we have to adjust to get back on track. And being able to control your ego to do that with a vendor is a very hard thing to do. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are able to do that. The ones that are will shine, and the ones that aren't will suffer.
Is that interest rates affecting agents, or is that agents digging their own grave?
Yeah, well, it's the interest rates, because no, it's the agents digging their own grave, but the interest rates it's like the tide going out. When the tide goes out, you can see who's been swimming naked. Right? Because these agents now previously didn't have to have the skill level because people were paying the prices that they wanted. Now they have to have the ability to be able to deal with these people. So I think that's a huge on-flow effect to the agents. But in turn to your question, Cam, absolutely it's affecting the homeowners, because now when they go to the second agent, that second agent has to really think outside the box. and see what can we do to get still get a great price for our owners, and get all the buyers back to here, because there's that, you know, connotation of it's a problem property, there's an issue with the home or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've noticed that there's been a lot of small businesses close up in my area, and that's been going on for a long time. But obviously, as we've spoken about, people that own commercial properties, interest rates going up, well, they're wanting to put rents up as well. And it's becoming to a point where people can't afford to stay paying those big rents. So we've got a lot of vacant properties here, which then affects, you know, the employment, because people are losing jobs, you know, and so it is such a big ripple effect across the board, isn't it? Like, I mean, there's good things about it as well. Like if you're a first home buyer, I mean, great. That deposit that would have taken you 10 years to save for 12 months ago is probably now going to take you 5 because interest rates are higher. But, you know, your borrowing
Is it a
capacity.
benefit though, Lou, because their borrowing capacity is less now?
That's right. But that's what I was going to say. Like their borrowing capacity is now 30% less than what it was 12 months ago as well. But the good thing is we know interest rates aren't going to stay high forever. You know, we know that this is just part of the process, and the market's always gone up and down over time. But I think it's just been such a drastic increase, especially when we were told by the people that should know and who we trust that interest rates weren't going to rise until 2024. A lot of people went out and made pretty big life-changing decisions based on that. And a lot of people have already suffered because of that, you know, and suffering still. So yeah, it's affecting a lot of people. Some people are lucky enough not to be affected, but, you know, I looked at the rents in my area. Like I went to a property today, it's returning $1,300 a week. You know, like it's probably going to sell between 950 and $1 million. So we're talking over a 7% return. We've got a vacancy rate that's... Pardon? Yeah. I don't have the contract yet, I'll tell you.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like I know your areas might be the same, but in our area now, we've got almost less than 1% vacancy rate. Now, apparently immigration's at a 3-year high because people can travel again. Chinese government has ordered all the students to return back to their campuses overseas, you know, and so the searches on realestate.com for rentals alone in the last quarter is up 190% on the same time last year. So when these people arrive, that's going to keep pushing rents up. The good thing is going to keep a floor under the housing market in terms of price, but the people that are local and the first home buyers that want to buy, their competition, they can't compete with, you know, so it's a bit of a, predicament, I think.
I think from a housing point of view, the people who have been affected the most, especially in my areas anyway, there's a huge disparity at the moment between what houses over $1 million are doing and what houses under $1 million are doing.
Yeah.
And you can almost buy for an extra... I've sold 2 houses in the last week for close to $1 million, very small 3-bedroom homes, but try and get 1.1 for a huge 4-bedroom home with a pool and a backyard. Can't do it, right?
I'm having the same thing up here, Ken.
And I know people, you know, the cynics of the world will laugh and go, oh, well, Richie Rich sucked into them because that's tall poppy syndrome and that's what happens. But I've seen 40% drops on properties that used to be $1.5 million, and because every time the interest rates go up, buyers fall out of that price bracket into that price bracket. Yeah. Actually seeing the bottom end of the market grow, the top end of the market, and it makes no sense whatsoever. The one thing I want to touch on too, the government's doing a very good job and the media's doing a very good job of painting landlords as the bad guys in this situation, because it takes the pressure off them for doing what they're doing. And I saw someone on Facebook the other day get in a community and say, I'll be selling my house in 3 months, but I'll be doing my research into the agents. And if they've dared F over tenants, then they won't even be on my list. They're blaming the real estate agents and the landlords for putting rents up, selling that story. So they're blamed instead of the people who are actually, there's a reason landlords have to put their rents up, right?
Yeah.
Now, I am sure, 100% sure, there's landlords out there who didn't need the rent increases and didn't have to do rent increases who still have.
Yeah.
But the majority, I'm sure, have been absolutely stuffed. Their return on investment, I mean, Lou's talking about 7%. If they don't jack the rents, they're not getting 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
2.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's far-reaching, and it's not having What it hasn't done is change the price of a loaf of bread. And what it hasn't done is lower the price of petrol. And what it hasn't done is lower anything that's needed to curb inflation, right? It hasn't done any of that because that's been governed by external factors. So the whole thing's a shit show, an absolute shit show. And, you know, it's all right talking about silver linings and you got to find the positive that eventually, but we also got to live in the now. And the people who are changing from sending their kids to a private school to a public school to playing sport to not playing sport to on a very desperate level turning the air conditioner on to get heat or not, feeding or not, like that's how bad it can be. I mean, me personally, my mortgage has gone up $4,300 a month since this started. A month.
Yeah, well,
and we're in a lucky position as far as industry, right? If we need more money, we go and sell more houses. It's not quite that simple, but the option is there. Someone who's paid an hourly rate from 9 to 5, and it doesn't matter how hard they work, can't make any more money. What do they do?
That's exactly right, Cam. And exactly right. We're fortunate, and those that are in industries where your income is only determined by how hard you work, and thankfully that's all of us. There's a lot of people that aren't, and as you said, there's only 24 hours in a day of which you need to sleep for at least 6. You cannot go out and do,
not Thomas.
Except for Thomas, exactly. It's 6 minutes, but you cannot you cannot go out and do what we do times 2 to survive. And you're right, the pressures on the landlords. And you know what, as you say, there's a lot of, I would say 90% of them are doing it, increasing the rent because they have to. But there's some that are doing it because they can as well. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't put that in the majority.
No. You know, the people that I think about, like you guys know, we manage a lot of holiday properties in both our Port Macquarie and Foster offices up here, and that goes well. And look, you know, we've got Ironman this weekend and we're fully booked and there's thousands of dollars to be made. But
you going in, Chris?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's number 77. He's got a spot ready to roll. But the thing is, you know, things like having a property and those luxuries that people have enjoyed, short holidays and stuff like that, we're in a position where we can do that now. But then, and people want to do that because they've been stuck in their houses for years and can't travel. And I met a lady today, she's barely gone anywhere for 3 years because of fears of health and whatever. We're finally in a position where we can, but now we can't because financially we can't, you know, so it's really tough for a lot of people.
When it comes to paying mortgages and so forth, we all know we should, you know, put a little away in the good times. So it's there for the bad times and we have reserves. And the unfortunate thing is the majority of people don't. They live week to week and they get their paycheck and they spend it. So they don't plan for those interest rate rises, and this is when we get ourselves into trouble. Was it saying if you're on a mountain, throw a little bit of dirt in the valley so it softens your blow if you fall? And looking back in hindsight, maybe this may teach people, because we have had such a long time in such a good economy, growing economy, where I think people have forgotten the art of budgeting or forgotten the art of going without or withholding. You don't need all the streaming services. You don't need to eat out every night of the week and so forth. So I think, you know, hard times create stronger people. So I think it's not a...
But in the meantime, the people whose income are fixed, the people who are now losing their jobs because the employer is saying, well, I can afford you because it's starting. The people who have to sit down and explain to their child why they can't be doing these sports or this anymore. And the blame culture that is increasing, the mental health that is now happening, and we're not attending to. I mean, when we were in lockdown with COVID, I mean, there was a mental health talk and all this stuff that they were doing there to make sure that people right. And now they're doing 11 interest rate rise. They're not paying attention to the mental health of the workers who's going out there every single day and yet come back home and now have to cut down on things. How do you explain that to them? I mean, it's easy for us to say, well, you have to put a little bit of crumb, you have to do all that stuff, but man, how do you do that when it is impossible to put crumbs away? And now it's not crumb. Now you have people who's a nurse, Louise's daughter.
Paramedic.
Now
Yeah.
considering having to come home.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you explain that?
It's not, they don't want to talk mental health or anything because they actually want more people unemployed. One of the reasons for inflation is the unemployment rate is too low. They want it to climb. They want people to lose their jobs. That's that's what people aren't realising. They come out every time and go, one of the reasons we're doing this is because unemployment's too low. No one's computing that with, oh shit, a lot of people are going to have to lose their jobs before they do anything about it. Like, it's the system. I'm way too dumb to understand what or why or how they're trying, but I can tell you the sniff test, if it smells like shit, it's generally shit, or Chris's wine. And
Geez, I hope mine beats yours.
Think about
the buffers Chris was talking about, like the bank was meant to be doing that for you. They were judging, you were applying for a loan at 2.5% and they were judging you at 5% to make sure you could afford it. The laws got changed because it used to be 6 or 7% that they judge you at, and 12 months before they started raising interest rates, they went, oh, it's not realistic to judge people at 6 or 7% because they're never going to get there. Well, we had someone the other day, we've got to go out to an appointment because they're about to go from 2% to 8%. So it's all right saying to people you're meant to save and you're meant to do this, and sure, but does anyone get taught financial education at school? No, nobody. So saying that is a pipe dream, Chris, and it's living in an ivory tower where you can afford to do it. The bank was supposed to cover the buffers, right? They were supposed to say, if the world comes to an end, you can still afford your mortgage, and if you can't afford your mortgage with the world coming to an end, you're not going to get a loan. None of that happened, right? None of it. None of it happened. It happened in 2018 when they did the Banking Royal Commission. It sure as shit happened then. No one could get money. Didn't matter how bloody well you were going.
Yeah. You think back to the people that tried to buy and wanted to buy back 12, 18 months ago when prices were so ridiculously high, and those same people still want to buy, but now they can't. They're forced to rent. And the plan for them to buy is probably now put back another 5 or 10 years, or whenever it is likely that interest rates are back down. But by that time, prices, you know what I mean? So I really
think to buy for $1 million. Now they can buy for 700,000. But if you turn up to an open home in my area for a house at 700,000, there's 50 groups there. 50 groups because everyone's got 700,000. No one's got $1 million.
Yeah.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, however you put it. It's ridiculous.
So is that your advice for sellers? Make sure you only buy properties below or under 1 million.
My advice for sellers,
you've got a bigger share of the market when it comes to buys.
My advice for sellers and my advice for buyers is the same thing, because as my rant said at the start, if you're listening to the news, you're going to fair chance you're going to be wrong. If you're listening to me, there's a fair chance you're going to be wrong. If you're listening to Chris or Louise, there's a definite chance you're going to be wrong. And Thomas doesn't say enough on here. He just sits back and watches us duke it out. So, but if you're ready to sell and you've got a reason for selling, sell your house. And if you're ready to buy and got a reason for buying, buy a house, because trying to pick the market or listening to Channel 9 who changed their advice 3 days in a row is the wrong way to go about it. That's my advice for everybody. As for agents, I mean, Chris is saying it's interest rates that ruined agents. Agents ruined themselves by getting a piece of paper and doing no more work ever. I've got this piece of paper now. That's all I need. I don't have to train myself. I don't have to care about my vendors. I don't think it's interest rates. It's stuff to agents, stuff to agents. And, I don't think anything changes. I've worked in good markets and I've worked in bad markets. The good agents always do better than the bad agents. And I don't think
that's true. That's true, Ken. But what I'm saying about the agents is, and now that it's a challenging market, it's really separating, the men from the boys. That's what I'm saying. The cowboys from the serious players.
Yeah, I get that, but it's
previously like, you could train a monkey.
I don't want any agent listening to this and go, it's interest rates is the reason I'm not doing any good, right? I don't want that in my team. I don't want that in anyone in your network. I don't want that even in our competition, because I want them to own up to the fact and go, we're just not that good, right? And we're doing the wrong thing by our clients. Back to the buyers trying to pick the market have all gone, it's the bottom now, yes. Idiots, you go into an open home with 50 other people If you had bought 6 months ago when there was one person at an open home, you'd be doing much better than you're doing now, right? So, and sellers have got a really good reason for selling, but a current affair said last week, at the start of 2024, prices are going to go back up and interest rates are going to go drop. Look, deal in the now. Right now, last week, great time to sell. There was 50 people turning up to open homes again if your house was under $1 million. Tuesday, they raised interest rates. I've got no idea what's going to happen this Saturday. Does anyone know what's coming this Saturday? I haven't got a clue. There could be 1 million people. There could be nobody, because every day someone's messing with their lives that we've got no control over. So just do it. Nike is my advice for everybody. Done.
No, I would say that the banks will know, because the banks are the people who are doing the pre-approval, so they would know. I think that no matter what, people will carry on with living. So the advice, probably I'll start with the advice bit for the real estate agent. For me, is to make sure they upskill themselves, because moving forward, if your leader, if your bosses are struggling, they're going to have to start letting go of staff. And if they're letting go of staff, they will always let go of the weaker ones. So if you're smart, you should have really been upskilling yourself from day dot. But now it's crucial that you do it very quickly, because no matter what's going to happen, landlord, my advice probably is to resist the temptation of passing the increase to your tenant. You know, it's a funny thing when we had COVID, how landlord went, well, no, let's calm it down. I will reduce this, I will do this, I will do that. And now it's almost, no. If whatever increases in my loan, it will be passed on, because that kind of pain that you're inflicting to a tenant is only going to be very short-term benefit, because when they're going to have to go, and when there's going to be an increase in crime rate, when there's going to be an increase in blame, landlord's going to pay in the end too. We are all, the key is for everyone to really understand we are all interconnected. Whatever happens in one side of the chain will eventually trickle down to the other side. And right now, there's no doubt in my mind that the mindset of people are really starting to get in trouble. We didn't have this kind of talk 6 months ago. We didn't have people talking about, bills. The other day, my daughter was talking to me about people having to be nicer. How on the radio they're now saying, you ever pass a guy and he's waving, he's saying hello to you, or he's thanking you for giving him the right of way. Mate, all of that's going to go. Crime, it's going to go up. You'll see all of these people who are comfortable and who are doing very well. You will see crime rate.
I'd like to raise a point. I've been in the car with your daughter. She's never waved at anyone for letting her stop. Not one. And I've nearly died 4 times. So
Not that one. Not that one.
Your other daughter.
No, I think
take some of your own advice if you're watching, just saying.
Yeah, everything that you said, Thomas, is exactly right. And, back to a little bit what you were saying, Cam, we've always said there's no such thing as a bad market to a good agent. But, I think going forward, and what we've already started to do is revise that to there's no such thing as a bad market to a trained agent, because what we're going to see is the situation and the saying that's always been, money brings out the best and worst in people. And we've seen that, and we see that in what we do every day when it comes to selling certain properties, deceased estates, etc. But it also happens with agents. I think, there's going to be a lot of people in distress, and unfortunately, emotions can be our worst advisors at some times. And sellers will choose, like I nearly had the situation today, a seller choosing the cheaper agent because they're focused, because their mind is focused on, I'm losing so much money and it's costing me so much more. I need to save everything I can. But trying to get a seller to understand that saving $5,000 in the beginning, because it's the difference in commission, to potentially $100,000 on the other end, you're actually, by choosing us, you're potentially making 95,000, not losing 5,000. So it's about educating people going forward, because as I said, you know, when people are in that mindset of everything's tough at the moment, there's a lot of people that are thinking like that, they can make decisions based on emotions, and they're sometimes the worst advisors, our emotions. So I think for agents, it's keeping a mindset that, you know, I said to my team the other day, it's not the end of the world. The only thing that is the end of the world is the actual end of the world. So we're not there, and we're not going to get there. So don't program that in your mind of things are tough and it's the end of the world. You know, we have an opportunity. Pressure is privilege. Like, you know what? This is where we earn our keep as good agents. We get through these times and the times that we've been through, and you come out the other side. That's where you're going to have the reputation that you want. You know, going back to what you said, Chris, agents that have let properties sit on your market for 60 days when they should be selling in 20, reputation, you know? So yeah, it's I think that's the scary thing for me, is going forward, people that are going to be in a mindset of hurt and pissed off and you know, uncertainty, are going to make potentially bad decisions. And that's the thing that worries me a bit.
I think that goes to TL though, with the same speech you're giving to landlords just then, that would be employers too, wouldn't it? You mentioned before that if you're an untrained agent or you're the weakest in the office, your boss is going to sack you, but leaders need to have the same mentality.
Absolutely.
Don't just flick someone because you're starting to hurt. Leaders eat last, yeah? Leaders.
Yeah, but you're talking about human nature. I'm going back to your point first, Lou. I think that the seller who's hurting and losing money and picking a cheaper agent, he's a dumb nut and he deserves to lose more money. I ask a lot of people the same question. Any one of those sellers who pick the cheap agent that can actually demonstrate to me that they're actually saving money by picking a cheaper agent, I will pay them all their fees. I will do it for free. Because I know there's no way they're going to get one. It's a funny thing. If I have a cold, I go to a GP, right? They so-called doctors, but they're not doctors. They're paid by pharmaceutical to just push a certain kind of set of medication. But if my life is really on hanging on a thread, by a thread, and I need a really special operations, I'm not going to go to an untrained GP. I'm going to look for a specialist. Yes, it's going to cost more, but if my life is that important, I wouldn't care what I paid, because I look at skill. It is such a dumb thing to sit there and say, well, I'm going to save myself 5,000. How do you come to that 5,000? I bet you $1 million, you can't even explain how you get to $1 million. But there are dumb sellers. And those dumb sellers, they deserve to lose money. You will never, this is, I look at things like scam or con artists and people like this who are conned are quite often not people who are weak and who are innocent victim. People who are conned are quite often greedy people who just look at the bottom line. They don't just sit down and think for themselves.
That's right, Thomas, 100%. And that's what I said to this owner today.
That he's dumb?
Yeah, there's a saying, poor man pays twice, because you're in that poor mindset of poor because it's costing you a fortune. And, you know, the poor man always pays twice, you know, and you're going to think you're getting a better deal, but it's going to cost you so much more, you know. But I think if you're an agent out there, and we're talking about it in my team today, and I said probably the most responsible thing that you can do going forward is stay true to your values and stay ethical. Don't be tempted. Don't get greedy. Don't, you know, because unfortunately, human nature, when things get tough, you know, people start to bend rules and do things that they wouldn't normally do. And we know that's just human nature. We can't say that people don't do that. They do. But, you know, if you've got an ability and you remain a good person and you train and you believe in that ability, you'll always land on your feet. You just have to hold strong, you know, and that's the message to my team anyway.
Another piece of advice that I have for people who are struggling for the moment is this may sound like a part, so hang in there with me, is to probably become a little bit more spiritual. I think that abundance is not in how many things you own. Abundance is in wanting more what you already have. And I think that a lot of us, we don't cultivate that mindset of looking for abundance in what we already have. And what we look at is always what we're about to lose. And it's in the spiritual thing, maybe the word is airy-fairy, but it's very much like the pursuit of what makes you feel better. I understand that right now the interest rate's gone up 11 times. I understand that there's no class action against the RBA governor. I understand that the government that is out there normally to protect people is actually doing nothing, saying nothing really concrete. Among themselves, they're concocting that, hey, it's okay, we know there's some more coming, let's just try and calm people down. But really, this is where I agree probably with Chris that we have to do something, is that we, in the midst of that kind of storm, the only person that can calm the storm is ourselves.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. We can't control anybody else's actions, only our own. And that's the same for our actions and our thoughts and everything else in between. Yeah, I 100% agree, Thomas, what you're saying there with the mindset is, and we say it all the time, the most expensive piece of real estate we all will ever own is in between our two ears individually, you know. And so if you can get the mind right, and I think it's collectively, a lot of people, I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people are going through a similar thing. And that doesn't make it easier, but it gives that little bit of sense that you're not alone and that everybody's struggling. But, you know, it's for us as agents is keeping our own head right and educated and trained, and then being able to relay that message and having those conversations with sellers like I had to have today, that you're thinking from a point of lack, you're thinking of a point of frustration and a point of poor, and that's going to make you make a bad decision, you know. And yeah, going back to what you said about the doctors thing, we're not in a market now where people are going to sell because there's the opportunity to get an extra 100 or 200 grand than they ever thought they could. We're in a market now where people are only going to sell if they have to sell. And regardless of what interest rates do, people will have to always sell. It's a nature of life. But the silver lining to that is there's probably more properties available now than what there was 12 months ago. So at least, you know, selling now, you're going to be able to probably find something now. But we just have to, I think that's what I think is going to be a bit of a difficult thing, is getting the message out to sellers and getting and agents to remain focused on that this won't last forever, and that we are worth what we're worth. And you know, I haven't said it in a long time, but I said the only way an agent can beat me in this market is to compete on fee, because they cannot compete on skill. And you know, and that's the truth. We know that. We know that that's how it is in every market. And I stand by what I am capable of and what I've been trained to do. You know, people have to go forward with that belief, because that's, what else are you going to do?
But then maybe, Lou, you need to spend more time educating your area about the mistakes that people make.
Yes.
Into going to a GP when they need a very
specialist. Yeah.
Operation, correct?
Correct. 100%. Yeah. Correct.
All right. One last few words about advice. Chris, you go on.
I think it's human nature to look outside to find solution to blame and to find a reason and rah rah rah. I think we need to look in, like we said, but like I said before, we try and blame banks or the interest rates or agents or landlords or whatever it is. Look within. If you don't have the solutions within, there's people out there that know how to help you, and it's your responsibility to help go and find those people. Go and find those people like Louise who can explain to you why choosing a cheap agent's not the best. There's people out there that can help you budget your home. There's people out there, mortgage brokers, that might be able to rejig your mortgage to help you, survive what's coming through with these interest rate rises. We put too much emphasis on the outside, but we all have to look in. It's all within us to be able to, I think, weather the storm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll let what is it? Cam close. For me, the last bit of advice is probably this is the best time to apply a bit of "Are you okay?" It's the best time to check on our neighbors and people that we don't think of that often, because this is a time when a couple, an elderly couple, might go for 3 or 4 meals with one chicken. And if you can afford to just have one more plate on your table that night, maybe this is a time. I think that the impact of COVID has now pushed us into this kind of 11 rates, and therefore all those lessons that we had during COVID should really be used again. It's not finished.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's what I can say is, thinking back, to the midst of COVID, when we couldn't leave our homes and we were having to, innovate overnight and sell homes sight unseen, meet people over Zoom, and all those things that have become wonderful things because we've learned to do life in a different way. In that moment, it probably felt like some of our darkest times, but what has it shown us? That we can get through tough things, and we will come out the other side. And this interest rate rise and rising, it might keep going on for a little bit, but it won't go on forever. Things will return back to somewhat normality. It has to, and we just have to ride through it. That's all we can do. Keep yourself educated, and if you're an agent, seller, or buyer, that goes for everybody. Keep yourself educated, keep yourself trained. You can make changes. I know what Chris said, everyone's going out and doing this and whatever, but yeah, cut off what you need to if it's Netflix. Stop eating $20 avo toast if you have to. We just have to make some small changes, and then, we'll come out the other side. We always do.
Interesting. What TL said, that was beautiful, man. Well done, TL. I'll ask you if you're okay, and that probably flies in the face a little bit of all sellers are dumb and buyers are stupid too. Everyone's in pain. Everyone's in pain, and I think we forget that. We're very quick to say, "Oh, they didn't pick me because of the fee, because they can't count, and it doesn't make any sense." And this and that. People are in pain. People were in pain during COVID. People were in pain after COVID. I just implore people to stop guessing, stop thinking about 4 weeks down the track or 5 weeks down the track or what the news is telling you. Just deal in today. Just deal in what's right now. What you know right now is how much you have to pay for your mortgage. What you know right now is that you either do want to sell your house or don't want to sell your house. What you know right now is that you either want to buy a house or you don't. All the spreadsheets in the world can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? It really can't, and that's what's causing people the most pain. All right, there's no spreadsheet for this life we're in. There's none whatsoever. Deal in what you got now. Learn to be happy with what you've got now, or if you're not happy with what you got now, learn how to improve it. But stop wishing for something other than right now, because that's all we got.
That's it. God, we've been very controlled. Looks like we're doing our first one. What's going on? Huh? Is your wine too strong, Cam? I should have had half of that bottle.
No, I've got the man for it. They're talking about 3. There's COVID, there's the flu, and there's some other virus going around at the moment. I've probably got all 3. We didn't mention Brene Brown once, so I didn't have to fly off the handle. Chris wasn't as stupid as he usually is, and his wine was probably
So I want to settle this debate.
I can only deal with the cards that are in front of me.
What wine won, Thomas? I need to know what wine won. I'm going to shut this red.
I won for sure.
No, I don't know. I did not see it. so I did not see it. So let me check.
Come on, you got the details there. Charlotte was on our back.
Well, I had a 4.2, so mine was a 4.2.
Mine was a 4.3.
I had no
You said you
idea.
didn't even check. Speaking of lying
When I
real
bought it,
estate
that's
agents,
when I started.
speaking
I
of
can
lying
say the
real
time.
estate agents, you started off by saying I didn't even look on the Venus. So
I
who
did it. I
knows?
did it when I bought it. I only checked when I got it out to drink.
Oh, shit.
Mine was sitting in my cupboard, so I did.
Guys, thank you very much. We will let you know when's our next one.
Mhm.
But the winning wine for this week was mine. I talk to you soon. See you guys.
You guys, bye.